Ladies and gentlemen, I'm super excited to have Coach K here today. Kara Boeldt. Kara, we're fortunate enough at our market center at Keller Williams to have you as a productivity coach and a leader, the chief experience officer now. So thank you for being here, taking time out of your busy day. I know that I know being your right-handed man, you have a lot going on. So Kara, give us a little history about you. Who is Kara Boeldt?
Kara Boeldt is a KW lifer, as I call myself. I've been with Keller Williams for 14 years, which is the entirety of my residential real estate career. Okay. Before that, I worked for a commercial real estate company here in Chicago. I'm originally from Iowa, so I grew up in the cornfields. Okay. And I was an agent for the first 12 years or so of that career. I worked first with Keller Williams Madison West. I'd moved from Chicago up to Madison, Wisconsin, so I got my start there. And then I moved back to Chicago in 2011 or so and settled in back here.
Awesome. And how about personally, Kara? Are you married? Do you have children?
Depends on the day, whether I claim them or not. But yes, I live in Southport Corridor. I have a husband of almost 15 years. I have one daughter who's 14. I have a thing with really old dogs. I adopt ancient hound dogs. So I have a 15-year-old coon hound at home, and so
cool. That's your daughter's 14, huh?
She is. Yes,
she's pretty impressive, right? She has something going on that we see a lot on social media. Why don't we touch base on that really quickly?
She does. She is an Irish dancer. So a thing to know about me is that I'm not Irish. We're not Irish. Her parents, we do not dance unless we've maybe had a little too much to drink. But she decided at age 6, she saw the Trinity Irish Dancers at school. Yeah. That she wanted to go try that out. So we took her to an open house and she started dancing, and she's one of those kids. She's like a rule follower. She's like, everything's black and white to her, unlike me, but she's like her dad. He's an engineer. And she had tried like ballet when she was little, and she was like too wishy-washy. Okay. Yeah. So she tried Irish dance, and she was like, I think I'll try this. So she started 1 hour a week. I get a peace and quiet for 1 hour a week. And about a year into it, she came out and she was like, Mom, I want to start competing. And I had no idea that Irish dance was a competitive sport. It is. And I was like, okay, honey. And I looked at her teacher and I was like, she wants to compete. And first of all, I was proud because that's my personality. Yeah. She gets most of her personality from her dad, but I was like, yes, there's a little bit. She looks just like him.
A little competition in there.
A little competition.
All right.
And her teacher was like, yeah, there's a competition coming up here in Chicago. And I was like, have you seen her dance? And she was like, oh yeah, they're all awful, but it's a great time to get started on, stage. They don't have as much stage fright at this age. So 6 years later, age 12, she qualified for the World Championships of Irish dance. So she's a world ranked athlete.
Yeah. World ranked athlete. Looking back at her journey in the last 6 years, what has been the one thing that's been consistent to get her to world rank?
Depending on the time of year. So Irish dance, the season for Irish dance is September through July, sometimes mid-August. So it's all year long other than about 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
At certain times of the year, she has 7 coaches.
Okay.
She's 14 now and she has 7 coaches.
Wow. 7 coaches, and I'm assuming that those coaches make her practice, yeah?
Yeah, she has So in Irish dance, they dance 3 dances in competition. They dance a soft shoe dance, so she has a soft shoe coach. They dance a hard shoe dance, so she has a hard shoe coach. And they dance like what is called a solo dance. So she has a solo dance, a set dance instructor. And then she has typically for the fall season, they'll have teams. So she'll be on usually 2 teams. So that's 2 more instructors. She has a strength and flexibility coach. Yeah, so she's an 8th grader and she dances somewhere 15 to 20 hours a week on top of going to school.
That's awesome. So she's got mastery. She's also got a coach at home, right? With her mom, I would imagine.
Yeah, she does. that coaching.
It's one of your many titles, that you got going on. So
yeah, part of the reason I pay for other coaches because she seems to take their advice a little more easily than mine. But
yeah, sometimes when they hear it a little differently, they take it to heart. So, all right, Kara, we know, like in the world that we live in, right? We know that mindset's everything, right? That 90%, our belief is 90% of success is mindset.
Yeah.
I know you as a pretty powerful mindset person, right? What is the importance for mindset to you, and how have you seen mindset kind of catapult some people who have had positive mindsets in their businesses?
Yeah, I mean, I think it all starts with how you think, right? How you think about yourself, how you think about your business, how you think about your life, how you think about things around you. And it can be very easy to be a victim, to be drawn to, thinking that is not helpful to you, thinking that will drag you down. And what you put out into the world comes back to you. So if you put out that strong mindset, that positivity, that you're gonna do it, that you can do it, it comes back. I feel like the universe comes back and rewards you. And it may not be instantaneous. You live in an instant gratification world. And it's what I talk to a lot of with my coachees, the people in my coaching program, is, it's time on task over time. And that can be draining. It can really, I feel like people are either in a rat race, you feel like your life is a rat race, or you feel like you're in a rut, and it's like one or the other. And I think toggle back and forth between those. And it's your mindset that helps you to understand that rut is actually the path of mastery. Time on task over time, doing those same things, monotonous, and maybe not seeing the results that you think, you should be seeing right away. And yet, they're ahead of you, because it just takes time to do that. And then, the other side is rat race, but that's another discussion.
we can spend a couple hours in the rat race, right? Yeah. Time on task over time, Kara. Time on task over time, right? I have heard that from you. I've heard that from Shoes. I've heard that from Gary Keller, right? This is a concept that people have said, hey, listen, it's time on task over time. How difficult have you seen in your coaching program with people? Is it for people to adapt to time on task over time?
Yeah, that goes back to where we are in a world with instant gratification. We can click an app and we can have food delivered to us in 20 minutes or less. We can have anything delivered to us pretty much in 20 minutes or less. We hop in our cars and we can get wherever we need to be, or maybe a couple of months ago, hop on a plane and be wherever we want to be in the world, right? And I think especially when you're starting in real estate, depending on what kind of background you have leading into this career, if you haven't been building your own business before, if you haven't been an entrepreneur before, you don't necessarily understand all that it takes to build your business up. You have to learn what you're doing, best practices. You have to learn how to be a realtor, right? And those things really, the path to mastery is boring and exciting and crazy and scary and all of those other things. And if you're doing it right, you've got a portion of your day every day that's boring.
Yeah.
And you don't get instant gratification. And you just have to keep doing it and trust, that, and that's the big part, right? Me building trust with my coachees. I promise, right? Joe Zimmerman didn't open up shop yesterday and, was successful instantaneously, right? It's lead generating every day. It's having a schedule. It's following the schedule. It's all of those things without the instant gratification that will bring you success. So,
Do you think, Kara, we've heard that a lot, right? Success is boring because you're doing the same repetition every day, right? So do you think that again, like in your coaching program, you're coaching newer agents that are trying to hit that, the whatever goals they have. How hard is that? Not only how hard is that, but like when we talked, you touched on time on task over time, but mindset wise, like, do they believe that? Like when you're coaching people, do they say like, okay, if I just do this over time, and how do you coach them to continue to do it and not give up?
Encouragement, right? Giving them stories of my own past or success, stories of others that are, maybe a few steps ahead of them. We had group coaching yesterday, and one of my students, Von Petzello, just about her third year. And I always tell them, I got to get you through the first 18 months because, 90% of you, 95% of you are at risk of getting out of the business within 18 months if you're not finding success. And it's at about year 3 when you start to feel a little bit like you're getting something back from the universe, right? It doesn't mean you can stop doing the boring stuff. It doesn't mean you can stop lead generating and all of that, but you start feeling like all of this work is worth it. And I'm receiving some benefit back from the universe. And Vaughn is about at her year 3, and she's done pretty much everything I've told her to do, including getting up earlier every day.
Yeah.
Including having difficult discussions, with her spouse and her family in order to, have them support her in her goal, which is sometimes even more difficult for our families because they don't understand why we sit on the phone for 3 hours, every day, why maybe we didn't get that listing right away, why we're not maybe successful immediately. And so to continue to get that support, we have to teach them as well what this path looks like. And so I'll refer to her and I'll be like, and yesterday I was like, here's Vaughn. She's 3 years in, she's like, I got a listing and a referral from my building. And one of her goals is, I hope she's okay with me talking about her. I'm sure she is, but one of her goals is to, she's farming her building and she's deeply involved in her community and her building downtown.
Yeah.
And she's starting to feel those return. Like people are calling her now. It's not just her calling them. So, pointing to real life situations that people can look at and go, okay, I can keep doing this.
That's awesome. That's great. That's a great story. And Vaughn's a great story. So, all right, I'm going to pivot here a little bit. Strategy, Kara. Okay.
Yeah.
So typically we go into business with a strategy. You have a strategy of, discovering your big why and fueling it. Mm-hmm. Right? How important is that of a strategy to use?
So when you're on month 3 of making phone calls day in and day out, and you haven't gotten that first lead, that first deal, you start to question your choices, I think. And I don't think they tell you going into real estate school that it could be 3 months or 6 months or 9 months, depending on how much time and effort you put into it, depending on your skill level, depending on who you have leading you or coaching you, depending on who's in your sphere, how quickly you build that, what that return is going to be. And so you have to have something to go back to. Why am I doing this? Why do I continue forward in this? And I think, people get into this business for different reasons. I think some get in because they, my husband, who's an engineer, would say, you got into real estate because nobody wanted to hire you because you're kind of a wild child, right? You want to do your own thing.
You're the only one
You
that
want
would
to be the
accept it.
boss. You want to be the boss.
Yeah,
And, I think people get in because they know they can they can control their own destiny. They can control the paycheck coming in. They don't have to leave that to a corporate boss who's, going to decide how much they're worth. Some people get in because they are looking for a career that gives them flexibility. And this career does give you great flexibility, and you have to use that extremely responsibly in order to be successful.
Right.
And I think sometimes that is a piece that people don't necessarily understand. When you post to the world that you're now a realtor, the phone doesn't just start ringing, right? You have to go with that. So, people get into this business for different reasons, and then they stay at it for different reasons. And I think, in any career, really, why do you get up in the morning?
Right.
Why do you do what you do every day? What keeps you, doing this work every day? If you could just go get a paycheck, and have the same outcome, that's safer potentially. Why do you do what you do? And I think that's, what you need to understand in order to be successful, no matter what career that is.
So Kara, if I'm a newer agent or an agent that's been in the business for a long time, it doesn't really matter. And I'm searching for my why and what drives me. Where do I start?
That's a really good question. I think, I don't know how many of you, but for a long time in my life, I was like, what am I going to be when I grow up? Or how am I going to impact the world or my family? Or when my last breath is done here, what are they going to say about me? And that's something I've just always thought about. And I think sometimes we overanalyze that. And, you could spend 10 years trying to figure out why you do what you do. And sometimes that's necessary. And other times I think we're just overanalyzing it. So it doesn't matter what your why is, why you get up. I mean, you might get up every morning because you want that really hot car that's out there. You might want that, vacation home. You might just want your first home, right? And I think everyone's at a different stage in life, and their big why is different. And it can be super vain or it can be super deep. It doesn't really matter. And we shouldn't judge ourselves, based on other people's whys. We shouldn't judge them either. It's what gets you up and doing what you do. What makes you successful.
So Kara, you and I have talked a lot about this, and you kind of touched on this, but thinking big and what big life do you want, right? And what big life do you want your business to fund, right? That's sort of a question that people have to ask themselves, right? Yeah. What about the people, Kara, you're coaching, in the productivity coaching, you're coaching people that are up and comers, right? Do you see that? Is that a theme that you see, that everyone wants to be the big star and the big producer? Or do you also see the people that say, hey, if I could just do this, I'd be happy?
Yeah, I see both. I see people come in wanting to prove something to somebody in their lives. I'm going to be successful at this. It might be somebody who told them that they couldn't do it. Whatever it was, it might just be, you will never be successful. And so they're like, hey, I can drive my own destiny here and I can prove that person wrong. Some people are like, hey, I want to have flexibility to be with my kids, to pick them up from school. I'm totally cool doing like 7 deals a year to pay for vacation. I have other income. And this gives me autonomy. This gives me identity. So I think, I see all spectrums, right? I have people who are like, I'm going to build a big team. I'm going to be Joe Zimmerman, right? When I grow up. So everyone comes in with their own goal. I think I see people most often who their goal isn't as big as it could be. and they don't even know it, right? And so through time and coaching, that goal gets bigger and bigger. Their why changes over time, and your why can change. It doesn't have to be like, I have one why, one big reason I'm doing this, and it's never going to change for the rest of my life. That's like way too much. It's like commitment for me, right? That can change over time as well. And it should, I think, as you evolve, it gets at least bigger or deeper, even if it's the same why. Mm-hmm.
So Kara, let's get personal. I'd be doing our audience a disservice here if I didn't ask you, what is your big why? What drives Kara Boeldt?
Kara Boeldt in 2005 was laying in a hospital bed. She had kidney failure. It was complete kidney failure. My liver had begun shutting down. I had swelling on the brain. I had stroke level blood pressure. And I'd lost all of my voluntary reflexes. I was on my way out, and I was 7 months pregnant with my little Irish dancer. And she was born to save my life, and also to save hers. And she was smaller than a teacup chihuahua when she was born. She was 2 pounds, 7.5 ounces. I didn't get to see her for 24 hours because of my own condition. And when they finally wheeled me up to see her, she was the tiniest little thing I'd ever seen in my life. And at that point, we didn't know if she would walk, if she would talk, if she could see, if she could hear. We didn't know if she would survive. And just made a promise to her at that moment that I would provide the tools, the resources for her to live her best life, whatever that looked like for her. I had no idea it was going to be thousands of dollars and Irish dresses custom made from Belfast, Ireland. But that's what it ended up being. And so Irish dance is my big why because, I had, there was a moment there where we didn't know what her life was gonna look like. She had she came home, she was in the hospital for 27 days. And she weighed 3 pounds, 8 ounces when they sent her home with me. And I said, which of you nurses is coming home with me? And they said, none of us, good luck. So we took her home at age 2. She had, she started an occupational therapy at 9 months old. And they said, she'll never be an athlete, but she doesn't have cerebral palsy. She doesn't, we don't think she's gonna have any major health issues. She might have some issues in school at some point, but you'll get to those. You'll deal with them when you get to there. And then she had heart surgery at age 2. And when she came out of heart surgery, the cardiologist said to me, we fixed her, she's fine. I want you to take this baby home and pretend that this never happened and don't ever treat her any differently than any other kid. And guess what? Nobody told her that she would never be an athlete. The doctor told me, but I did not tell her that. And we took her home and did not treat her any differently. She had no idea, right? And so now she's a world ranked athlete. So my motivation, my big why, while it is Irish dance, stems from the fact that I remember being so sick that I didn't care what happened. I didn't care if I lived. I didn't care if I died. I was that sick. And time is precious. That's the one thing we have here that we can't get more of. Yeah. So being efficient with my time, doing all of the things I want to do in life. I have a nonprofit that I run as well that is on the same topic of the condition I had. And real estate funds that for me. And that's why, I do what I do, but it guides my mindset. And it just is something I go back to remind me why I do this, right? Why do I put up with Joe Zimmerman every day? It's
to be determined. Still figuring that out.
That's why. So, and again, I say that it's a very big story. It's a little heavy. And your big why doesn't have to look like that. You can totally go after the hot car, and no one should judge you for that, right? Your big why is going to be whatever it is for you, but you have to find it. You have to uncover it. You have to think. You have to spend time alone, really digesting why you get up every morning. Like literally, why do you get out of bed every morning? Maybe it's your family, maybe it's some cause in the world, right? And maybe it's for your clients. Everyone has a why. You just have to find it.
Your why is very powerful, Kara. I almost had to say, excuse me, I got to go get some tissues, because that one was wild. And I got to tell you, I do appreciate you, taking my phone calls and saying, hey, before I call Dave Nasso, do you know where I can find this? So I do.
It's only last night. Yeah. Like, I know Dave sent it to me. He's going to be so annoyed that I'm asking for it again.
I'm like, Kara, I promised I looked everywhere before I call him. All right, Kara, thank you for that. You're a productivity coach, right? We believe in the power of systems. All right. What are the systems that you're coaching on right now?
Oh gosh, all of them, but really it's, I think one of the most important is keeping a schedule and keeping to your schedule. If it's not on your calendar, it doesn't exist, right? For those of you in Boeldt, you've heard that before as well. You have to put time, and I tell people, you have to plan your planning time, right? You have to have a spot on your calendar, whatever that is, Gmail, paper, it doesn't matter. You have to plan, because otherwise it won't happen. You can get much more done, be more efficient if you have everything on your calendar and you have a goal that you're focused on. So right now in our office, we're, as you know, Joe, as I've, making you work on your 135 or your GPS goal, your big goal. What are the 3 priorities? What are the 5 strategies to help you accomplish that? And by chunking it down, by having that big goal, which will hopefully is driven by your big why, you can chunk down what you need to do and then eventually get it on your calendar so that you can accomplish those things. And I think we probably all feel this, I do, in our current state of affairs where we're at home a lot, maybe not in our most productive spaces for some of us. For some of us, we're even more productive, right? You can lose a week really fast, right? You can lose 4 hours a day really fast. So, going back to that goal and, in real estate, knowing that what I do today is going to pay me 90 days from now, right? What'd you do yesterday? Did you sit in your PJs all day, or did you, follow a schedule? Did you do your lead generation? Did you do your follow-up? Did you do all of those boring things that will someday make you wealthy? 90 days from now. So
Coach, if you're coaching me and everything needs to be in my schedule, right? And what you also said here was, even planning time needs to be in our schedule.
Yeah.
Do you believe in a perfect week? And how do I start finding what my perfect week looks like?
Again, going to be different for everyone, and it's going to depend on what your other responsibilities are outside work. My perfect week starts at 4:45 a.m. every day. Not because I like it, but because I am much more productive. I get so much done. And why am I up at 4:45 instead of 5? It's just, for me, my sleep cycle. If I wake up at 5, like it's like pulling me out of a deep sleep, and it's a challenge. If I get up just 15 minutes earlier, I'm at the top of my sleep cycle, I'm totally awake. I can get up and be super functional. So, getting up early and getting the things done that you just need to get off of your plate, and that might be working out, journaling, meditating, whatever it is that you do for you to be centered, to have a successful day. I know, Joe, that you ride a bike, like a Peloton or something, right?
I'm on my trainer. Yes, I'm on my bike every morning. Correct.
I am not, and I should. That is, one of the things that I'm I'm working on.
Yeah.
But you know, you have to figure out just how you best start your day. And it almost always is never looking at your email. You know, because and that's in general, right? We get distracted by made up fires. But staying away from your email or your text and doing whatever it is that helps center you and get you started off for the right day for that day. And then lead generating, having time in your schedule, preferably in the morning, to lead generate 9 to 11, 9 to 12, lead follow up, because you can call people all day long. And if you don't follow up with them, it's like starting over every day, right? So don't let your lead generation go to waste by not following up with people, not having a systemized follow-up. Taking some time for yourself, and then the rest of your day happens. Everything else after that is less important, right? And so from there, you know the things you need to do. You need to have appropriate time. Right now, we're not driving too many places, maybe some appointments and stuff, but you need to plan in your drive time. You need to figure out when you're going to do your laundry. You need to plan all of those things. And I think if you are in your calendar more changing things and adding things, then you feel like you're living your life, you're probably doing it the right way.
Got it. Looks like Nico is driving some places right now recently, but you know, that's okay. Pay attention to the road, Nico. Hey, okay, so Kara, you've been on a lot of these lunch and learns, and I think you're number 34. So you're Walter Payton.
Thanks.
You know,
I see.
hey, sweetness.
Oh, okay.
After you for sweetness. All right, number 34.
I mean, that's a really good save, Joe. It's a really good save. I was like, oh, great, so, I'm 34. Kara, fantastic.
When you see all these people who are performing at a high level, and you see that they have a routine, right, in the morning, typically it doesn't matter what time and stuff like that. You touched on this. 4:45, like, you know, some people on this call will be like, I can't do it. I won't do it. Is that your internal clock? Did you train yourself to do that? Or how did you get there, and why did you decide on that number, that time?
Yeah, so it's definitely not natural for me. First of all, I'm not a good sleeper. But I figured out about myself, part of that was just using there's like 1,000 apps you can do to like figure out your sleep cycle, and, you know, set it, like if I'm going to bed now, what are the 3 times tomorrow morning that I'm best able to wake up, you know, quickly. So I used some of those tools. I bought myself an Apple Watch, and then it sat in a box for like 6 months. I have a friend who's an attorney, who was like swears by it. And so I was like, oh, I'm going to be like her, and I'm going to, you know, this is going to make me more efficient. So I bought it and sat in a box for 6 months, and I was like, what am I going to do with this thing? For me, I have to wear the watch. So the alarm goes off and it vibrates my arm, because I could sleep through a audible alarm. I could probably sleep through the fire alarm, the smoke alarm going off, but the little bit of buzz that the Apple Watch gives me, it like wakes me up. So it was trial and error to figure out what time I'm able to wake up and be, you know, productive quickly and not feel like, you know, I'm groggy. And just knowing what I do, like the minute I get out of bed. So, and I don't always get up at 4:45. You know, I do occasionally sleep in, but I realize that I need 4 hours and 27 minutes of sleep a night to be me. Now, if I get more, that's even better, right? But that's just how I pack things into my schedule, into my day when I need to. But 4:45 allows me to get up before my daughter, before the dog even wakes up, before my husband gets up, and I just have quiet, and I probably get like 5 hours worth of work done in an hour and a half.
In an hour, right? Yeah. So
no distraction, you know, no one's emailing you. Yeah.
You made a conscious decision that that's Kara's time, right? You know, before everyone else is getting their, you know, getting started, your world is started, and you're concentrating on what you need to do.
Yeah. And if you have frustration, like it came from frustration for me. It was like every morning we'd wake up and dragging my kid out of bed and dragging her to school and running late to everything. And I was like frazzled by the time, you know, I got to the office. And then nothing from there goes well when you have a frazzled morning. And so I try to do a lot of things, get clothes out before, do all of these things, the night before. And while that helped a little, it still didn't make the mornings that much better. And then I realized if I get up way before everyone else, I can get everything done so that when the rest of the house wakes up, I'm already way ahead.
Yeah. It's funny. I see Melissa Vasick's on this call as well. And when she worked with me, and her and I were on the same team, we did the Miracle Morning Challenge, right? I think we did it. Melissa would know better. I think we did it for like 90 days or something. And what was crazy about that was when we didn't do it, how horrible we felt, right? Like like in the afternoon, like our day was just chaotic, right? But when we did it, our day was set and planned, and we felt like we won the day, right? Melissa, you remember that?
Yeah, I'm ready to get back to those days.
Yeah, right.
Don't be surprised if I call you on Monday morning.
Yeah, that was amazing. All right.
Yeah.
Kara, you touched on some tools here. So obviously, how we approach the business is we understand our mindset needs to be there, and we have to have a strategy. We got to follow some systems, right? Which we talked about. And then obviously we have some tools. So the ones that I've heard you talk about is 135, which we know is a Keller Williams tool. 411, right? An Apple Watch is a tool. And Kara, I know
if you're like ADD.
Yeah.
Like if you're like, I might be that way. I probably am that way. Like I set alarms right throughout the day to remind me to do what I need to be doing and to switch tasks. And yeah, it's a great tool.
I know that you also have vision boards, right? You're
yes.
a big, hey, vision boards and doing that as well. So Kara, you're coaching me. I am attracted to shiny objects and tools, right? Because I think everything's going to be done for me, and I don't have to do it if I just buy this tool that will do it for me. I know Nico can relate to me on this as well. But like, hey, listen, like, I'm just going to do this. How do you coach to this? How do you coach to what tool they should use and how they should implement that tool?
Yeah, we'll talk about budget for sure. So I'm coaching a lot of, new to the industry, new to the business. We'll talk about their budget and, what does the shiny object, right? How long do they need to implement it for it to work for them to some extent? What that cost looks like. And then we'll go back to, what their budget looks like. Let's look at reality here. It's going to cost this much. You've made this much in business. Is this something that you can actually afford? Typically, though, it is marketing, right? They want marketing. So if I just have the right business card, if I just have the right flyer, I just have the right handout, I just have the right website, then business will come to me. And it doesn't matter what the marketing is. Marketing is a supplement to the real work, which is nurturing relationships. So we just talk around, why I ask a lot of why questions. Why this tool? Why this shiny object? What is it going to accomplish for you? What's that going to do for you? And I'll ask them, 3 questions deep. And sometimes they're like, I know, rolling their eyes, like, you just asked me the same question, right?
Right.
And we get down deeper and deeper to the underlying, theme, which is I don't really want to pick up the phone and call, right? Or I don't want to do whatever it is that I don't want to do. So, and that's a time when you can go back to your big why and go, okay, then why are you in this business?
Right.
Right? If you don't I'm not saying you have to like lead generating, but you got to do it in order to be successful. And no one's going to lead generate like you do. You can hire ISAs. They have a purpose, right? There is, definitely a role for an ISA, but until you have your own database, until you have your own client list, that is extra. You need to nurture those relationships first. And you need to build a business to a certain extent before it makes sense to have somebody else come in and supplement your efforts with that. People work with you because they like you. they relate to you. They, oftentimes see, themselves in you, and they want to, they want to know that you care, right? So nurturing your database with someone other than you is just going to be difficult. You have to be involved in some way in that process. Not that you can't leverage it. You can do a lot of leverage, but you have to build it first.
The accountability to that, right? Of having your big why as the carrot, right? So one of my coaches, who you guys know, Gene Rivers, he always says, what's the goal, right? And then when I'm not hitting that goal, he always asks me, he's like, you don't really want that, do you? You don't, be real with me. You don't really want that. And I'm like, no, I do. He's like, no, you don't, because if you did, you'd be doing the activities, right?
Right. Or we'll talk back and I'll say, okay, so did your goal change?
Right.
Well, no, my goal didn't change. Okay, well, tell me more about this. How is this going to help you reach your goal, right?
Yeah. Then what the heck are you doing, right? Yeah, exactly. That's awesome. So Kara, as we finish up here in the next couple of minutes, what advice do you give the audience? What advice do you give to people that you're out there? So we're obviously in a pandemic time. You're coaching people at a high level. You're running a very profitable market center. How are you doing it, and what advice you're going to give people?
Again, schedule. Do the stuff you have to do. Just do it. Just get it over with. Wake up, get it over with, move on to something more exciting. Yeah. Just do it, right? You have to do that work. But I think right now is a really great time to re-examine your business, re-examine what you want to be when you grow up, right? Do you want to have a big team? Do you want to be a really successful solo agent business? Do you want to, be on a team? Maybe you're in the wrong seat on the bus. But re-examine that. And, I would say spend some time with, paper and pen, not iPad and Apple Pencil, not, Google Docs, but paper and pen. And write down, why are you doing this? Why do you get out of bed every morning? What does a successful business look like to you when, 5 years from now? What do you want your life to look like? You could start setting some goals that way. I think Shoes probably had that conversation Wednesday this week. And, when you can start looking out at what you want your business to look like, and you can connect that to why you're doing that, right? I want a really hot car. I need to make this much money, and I can do that in X number of years if I do this, this, and this. You're just connecting all of the pieces to have a really strong business. You've got the goal, you've got the reason behind the goal, and now you just have to do those activities. So when you're feeling like not doing them, and we all feel like not doing them from time to time, right? Sometimes it's every day. Sometimes it's, not every day. It's just a good reminder. So the vision board, we do vision boards here at Lincoln Park every December or so. We set our goals. We create these vision boards, and they're really fun, right? It's cutting and pasting on big white, boards, and just having a really good time, cutting out the really cool cars and vacation spots and all of those things. Our cute toned bodies from the sports magazines, and then you can put them right in front of you, right? So when you're having a down day, you can, have a visual representation of what you're going after. And it just reconnects you to why you do what you do. So you keep going. You just got to keep going.
Well, so what you're telling me, a couple of things is, one, Nike was on to something when they said, just do it, right?
Just do it.
Just do it. Their
Just
slogan.
do what Coach K tells you.
Yeah. And then the other thing is, you said, the one thing that you touched on earlier, don't check your emails in the morning, right? There's no such thing as a real estate emergency. So get what you need to get done before you dive into that. So
yeah.
Hey guys, you guys all have the reactions down at the corner, right? You guys want to give a nice little ovation for Coach K? Man, you did amazing. You were so inspiring. Woo, look at those. Yeah. Lighten up. Coach K, if somebody wants to get a hold of you and needs your help being held accountable, how do they do that?
Coach Kara at kw.com is my email address. Call it or email me.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. You guys have a wonderful weekend. We are back at it on Monday because the stay-at-home order has not been lifted. So we're going to keep doing this daily. I appreciate you guys being here. Mary McCarthy is a coach and a business consultant and a business owner coming from JLL, the Apostle Group, and Kristen Kipp referred me to her. I had a very powerful conversation with her yesterday. So her topic on Monday is going to be more time, more money, or both. So she's going to consult us on that. So looking forward to that on Monday. You guys have an awesome weekend. Love you guys all. Appreciate it, Coach K.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye.